The project was created out of a sense of frustration I was feeling over how foreign language education, ESL, and bilingual education has largely remained different fields with different agendas. Foreign language education is largely seen as an enrichment type program. It is designed basically for monolingual speakers of English in the U.S. and it serves basically people from middle class and upper class backgrounds. On the other hand, transitional bilingual education and ESL are viewed as compensatory. In other words, immigrants are given something they lack, basically English language skills. And these students' first languages, their native languages, aren't valued. The students are seen as deficient in English language skills. Now, basically, I think we can see the irony and injustice in this kind of position. So when the the National Foreign Language Resource Center sent out a call for proposals, I developed the Foreign Language Partnership Project as a way to bring foreign language and ESL educators together, working in a more equitable and mutually beneficial way. Language researchers, theorists, and advocates have long argued that immigrants' fluency in languages other than English could serve as an enormous resource for purposes such as international trade, diplomacy, and local business such as tourism. The Foreign Language Partnership Project serves these purposes as well by promoting maintenance of immigrant languages while facilitating foreign language learning among monolingual speakers of English. But the Foreign Language Partnership Project promotes the languages resource in another way. We wanted to show foreign language educators ways in which immigrants could be a resource within their own classrooms. The immigrant high school students that we hired, who were native speakers of Samoan, Ilocano, and Tagalog, served as communication partners for university students who were studying these languages. And in this way, the immigrants became a resource, a natural resource for the foreign language teachers. Our goals for this project were several. First of all, we wanted to acknowledge the first language abilities of high school immigrant students, and in doing this, raise their self-esteem. Studies have shown that students with high self-esteem tend to do much better in school, and they generally do better in society as a whole, in the community. And we wanted these newly arrived immigrant students not to feel as if they were outsiders in the community, but rather that they were active, participating, and contributing members of the larger community here in Hawaii. We also wanted to promote positive attitudes towards bilingualism and towards immigrants themselves here in Hawaii. We wanted to convince teachers and community members that recently arrived immigrants weren't deficient or weren't a burden on society, rather that they had a great deal to offer the community. And finally, we wanted to provide university students who were studying their heritage languages in many cases to feel a sense of increased pride in their own languages and cultures, while at the same time providing them with an opportunity to engage in authentic conversation, which would help them increase their second language proficiency.
The students that were our tutors this year are high school students, and they spoke Ilocano, Tagalog, and Samoan, and they're immigrants from their respective countries, and they were considered at risk. And the reason why they're considered at risk is because they come here to Hawaii at a young age, not able to develop their native language skills. Not only are they not able to develop their native language skills, but they also are beginning to learn their English skills, and so academically they're behind the other students who are native speakers of English, and so they're considered at risk as far as whether or not they pass or fail in their studies. And our students were also selected based on their native language proficiency. They took a test where our UH instructors interviewed them orally in asked them a few questions in their native language and had them answer back in their native language. And they also had to answer a few questions and write a paragraph in their native language. And these questions helped us to find out what their personality is like and what some of the reasons for wanting to become a tutor in our tutoring project. It was important to have the university teachers feel like they had a part in the tutoring process because the tutors would be the ones to do the planning and working with the students. So the instructors wouldn't be around to assist or monitor or anything like that. So we felt it was important for the university teachers to know who the tutors were and get to know what their language ability is, and for them to help us find out, which tutor would be the appropriate tutor to work with. It was important to have the tutors go through training just so that we made sure that they had a basic knowledge of what sociolinguistics is, get them to become familiar with what are some tutoring techniques or foreign language teaching techniques, and to sort of build up their confidence also. A lot of them, when they first came into, when we first started the training program, a lot of them were still not sure about, whether or not they could do the job right. And it was also important for us to get them familiar with what the goals were of the tutoring program. And if they felt that there were any other goals that needed to be added on to our tutoring project, then they were able to do that. It's just to give them information and background on, what the tutoring project is all about and in what way that they can help the university students. We had 8 training sessions. They were for about an hour and a half. And we met here at the university. In the training sessions, some of the things that we covered were sociolinguistics, foreign language teaching, tutoring techniques and strategies, things like, to help them, we asked them what would help with the students' pronunciation, and they said, I guess if you speak slower, and so an exchange of ideas on what would be good things to do during the tutoring sessions. The tutors responded positively to the training sessions. Most of them said that they felt better about what they were going to be doing as far as, their job description of, they felt better that, we told them that they'd have a resource of materials, and we asked them to also bring in their own resources. Like one of the students brought in Ilocano magazines so that the other tutors could also share in using that materials. And so they were really positive about the training sessions.
The way we went about organizing the tutoring sessions is once the tutors were selected, then we went into the language classes at the university and explained what the program was about and asked the university language students if they would be interested in participating in this program at no cost to them. It's sort of extra tutorial time for them. Then once we had all of those names and phone numbers of those who were interested, we called them and asked them why they were interested. And we really wanted people who were committed to the program so that they would really come every time. So after we did the interviews and we had selected the students, then we just arranged pretty much at random according to whatever people's time schedule worked out. We arranged for pairs of university students to work with one high school tutor. The tutoring sessions took place at the university after school. So the high school tutors would come over, they have to ride the bus over, and then they would come over here to the university and find an empty classroom basically, and then have their tutoring session. The tutoring sessions, it was really up to the discretion of the tutor as well as the tutees what happened during the sessions. We provided some guidance in terms of some materials, some Ilocano books, some magazines that actually the tutors themselves provided, but we kept a collection of materials that the tutors could use, and then we encouraged them to plan out what they would be doing during each session. But it was up to their discretion and the desires of the tutees as far as what actually happened during the sessions. And it was normally some kind of mix of going over some of the university students' homework, doing some just free conversation, playing some different kinds of language games, putting pictures in order, or trying to find the difference between two pictures, and reading stories and other kinds of language activities like that. The way that we approached this project with the university students is basically as kind of an extra credit kind of activity. And that's how the university instructors presented it also to their class, that if any of their students signed up for this program and participated faithfully, that they would receive extra credit, but not that it would replace any of their other lab work or anything like that. And that was mostly okay, I think, with the students. I mean, the university students, they didn't really need to have anything else. Most of them were grateful for the opportunity, but just given the time pressures of college life, I think it would make it easier for the university students if they were actually receiving formal credit for doing this. And in fact, one semester, one of the university students took the initiative to approach her teacher and say, hey, can't I use this instead of lab? And that teacher, that instructor, was open to this idea, and so she was able to use the tutoring sessions to replace her lab work for the university class. But for the most part, there was not a lot of actual collaboration between the tutoring sessions and the university language classes, and that's something that I think would be helpful to address for any kind of program like this in the future. Some of the things that have been coming out of the interviews we've been doing is for the university students, they're very grateful for this opportunity to interact with sort of a peer who speaks the language that they're trying to learn. Many of them do come from a background in which this language is spoken. Maybe their parents speak it or their grandparents speak it. They were never really able to learn it at home, but for some reason it's kind of difficult for them to try to learn it from their parents. And so this is an opportunity for them to talk to somebody who's more their peer, almost the same age as them, at least the same generation, so that they can relate to each other easier. Many of them mentioned that it was easy to relate to their high school tutor rather than their parents in terms of trying to use the language and converse in the language. But they did mention that because of the program, they gain more confidence and more ability to then try to go home and speak more with their family members. So that was a nice benefit of the program. The high school tutors were all quite nervous about the idea of tutoring university students, thinking, oh, how could I tutor a university student? They're smarter than me, they're older than me, whatever. Many of them come from cultures where older people are to be treated with respect, and so it was a bit uncomfortable for them to be in the role of the teacher. But all of them said that once they got to know the university students, that they were very nice, they were very friendly, that they didn't feel uncomfortable anymore. So it was kind of just initial nervousness, but once they actually met the tutors, they got along with them and they didn't have any problems. One thing that the high school tutors mentioned is that the personality of the tutee had a great influence on how the tutoring sessions went, which is predictable. If the tutee was a talkative kind of person, then they could really get a lot done in the sessions and they could really talk a lot. But if the tutee was kind of not so talkative or maybe tired that day, it was a little bit hard for them to kind of talk a lot on that day or get a lot of work done. But for those matches that worked well in terms of personality, there was a lot of not only language interaction, language learning going on, but personal friendships that developed. One of the high school tutors is interested in nursing. She's in a health academy program in her high school, and it turns out that all of her tutees were in the nursing program here at the university. So they were able to talk a lot about that and different programs and scholarships that might be available for this high school student. So that was a really nice benefit for her of this tutoring program. I think that this kind of program is exactly what we need to try to reverse some of the negative attitudes that many Americans hold against immigrants in terms of thinking that they need to come and learn English and that their own language is a burden for them and it's an obstacle that they have to overcome. I think this kind of program can help people realize that immigrants bring a valuable skill in with them. They know another language and they also learn English very fast. These tutors, the high school tutors, had to have a good command of English in order to get the job, as well as their own language. So here's a naturally fluent bilingual student, and it's really nice to see that the resource that they have was recognized. And then on the side of the university students, not only was it a wonderful opportunity for them to be able to interact with someone of their own age who comes from a similar culture to them, or perhaps a different culture, but to be able to learn more about another culture, but also to realize what it's like to go through trying to learn another language and the experiences that immigrants have, and sort of having a new respect for immigrants, because these high school students already knew much more English than they ever knew of Ilocano or Tagalog or Samoan. And they had already reached this point that the university students are trying to get to. And so the university students are struggling through at this time. So they kind of got a new respect and understanding for what it's like for immigrants to come in, and a new strong valuing of trying to maintain native languages, of the value of having more than one language, bilingualism in general. We really saw that on the side of both the high school students and the university students, that being bilingual is better than being monolingual. Being trilingual is even better. And most of them said that they would like to raise their own children to be able to speak more than one language, whatever languages they happen to be. So what do you think that your main goals, both for the tutoring and in general for learning Ilocano, are?
Just speak it.
Like in the family kind of situation?
Because, yeah, or around, because I plan to go back to the Philippines. That's what I want to do, because I miss that place so much.
Yeah.
And when I go, I want to just be able to go to the province and just talk without stopping or talking English, yeah. Because I don't want them to think, no, in a way, it's like I want to go there and they don't have to think, oh, she's from America because she's talking English. I want to talk Ilocano just
so that
straight.
They just think, oh, she's from
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And plus among my family too, yeah. Because a lot of my relatives come down to visit. And then, of course, like they talk Ilocano, and I want to just be able to sit down with them and talk with them too. Because it kind of fascinates them too, right?
Yeah.
That kids like us can talk Ilocano. And when they come to me, it's like, did you know Liza can speak Ilocano? How come you can't? You know, that kind of thing. And it's like, I'm learning. I'm going to take Ilocano.
What is your main goal then for learning Ilocano?
Well, I think more personal, if anything. It was more personal, just to learn and be able to, like, spell certain words. And I think just now I can, like, write to my family in the Philippines, at least write a few sentences.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when I write to them, I can write a little bit. And, you know, at least they know that I'm not too Americanized, but at least kind of getting with the roots a little bit. So I write a little bit. When somebody goes to the Philippines, I would write a letter to whoever, like that.
Well, I would like to be able to talk a little more fluently and be able to understand better instead of always having to ask the definitions of this, this and that, and translate this for me, kind of thing.
I guess my number one goal is to be more fluent, to learn more vocab, and to be able to speak to other Ilocanos. And they're not gonna tell if I was born here. Because I want to go to the Philippines someday, and I don't know. I live there for a while.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's because so far I was doing like really slow at the beginning. I had a lot of trouble understanding, pronouncing, and like just grasping certain aspects of the language. And so I figured this would be a way to help me get better in the language. Not only in like speaking, but also writing and reading. The tutoring is helping a lot too.
What are some good things about the tutoring program that you like?
Well, it's like it helps and kind of in a way forces me to practice Ilocano. So far we covered like reading, like Ilocano magazines, and that sort of helps with my pronunciation of some of the words because it kind of hard when the words are like this long and you don't really know how to say it. So it helps us go through words like that and it helps us get used to it. And let's see. Helps my partner and I like reading the dialogues and stuff and going over certain vocabularies that we might get tested on. So all that just backs up our classwork too.
Okay.
And what kinds of things do you do in the tutoring session besides like quiz
Reviewing
on the vocabulary and reviewing?
our exercises. We do it, then we'd ask her if it's correct and stuff. Yeah.
So is it mostly just like homework so far?
Not really. There's sometimes, well, honestly, sometimes we don't know what to talk about. And that's why what I did was I told Helen, I'll Xerox the lessons for you.
Okay.
Because I thought maybe, because sometimes we go in the classroom, we don't know what to talk about or we don't know what to say and stuff. So I told her, why don't I Xerox the lessons for you, the ones that we're going to do, and look it over and teach it to us again.
Oh, I see.
It's going great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some things that you like about the sessions?
I like my tutor a lot. She's real nice. And she's able to answer all our questions. If she can't, then she gets back to us at night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She goes home and asks her aunties and her parents. Then she calls us up late at night to tell us the answer.
Oh, how sweet. She doesn't so right. You guys get automatic feedback then. Oh, good. What kinds of things have you been doing in your tutoring sessions?
We love to eat. Every tutoring session we was eating and talking at the same time. Mostly we talk about food. Food and their boyfriends. I don't know. Good fun, but especially when we went to a restaurant.
That's what I heard. Yeah, you guys. How did you guys? You guys were able to use the language and stuff.
Yeah, because most of the waitresses there were Tagalog, but then we requested for a Ilocano waitress. She was so nice.
So do you guys in the tutoring session, do you like talk in Ilocano?
Yeah, we
most of the
try.
time, or
Most of the time we try to speak Ilocano, and then she helped us, and then like something we just talk about, like we try to talk about stuff that related to our normal lives, so it would be more interesting.
Yeah.
So then sometimes we should talk about herself. She would like tell us something, and then we'll try to understand, and we would try to talk about it, like how come, or like in Ilocano. But sometimes it's hard, because sometimes when you talk about something interesting, then you're forced to understand it. When somebody talks about themselves, like, or when you talk about like gossip stuff, then you can understand and you try to, what is that word and what is that word? we show pictures and we try to talk about the pictures. Like she brought pictures of her
Like photos, yeah.
photos of her party and like
Oh, that's right, because she just had a birthday, yeah.
yeah. Then we talk about how was your birthday. We really try to talk in conversation.
Oh,
like
good,
how was your party and then what do we do? We talk about Philippines a lot. Like the one girl who's with us, she hasn't been to the Philippines.
Oh, but you have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then we talk about all the different types of foods.
Oh, that's always good to talk. That's why you guys are gonna go to the restaurant, yeah?
Yeah, we're gonna try order
Friday.
in Ilocano.
Oh,
and
good,
stuff.
yeah.
Cause then Monday, my boy.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of ashamed to talk sometimes because it'll sound funny or I'm saying things wrong or pronouncing things wrong. So that's like one thing that kind of holds me back. So this tutoring is helping me to get over that a little bit.
Good.
And that way I don't really have to try it in front of class with all those people. And then I feel all shame after.
I remember it, but I'm just not sure how to use it. So I figured that's why with the tutor I'd be able to at least do the conversational part. I mean, when the teacher asks me a question in class, it's like, okay, it's going to take me 20 minutes to think of an answer to try to tell her in Ilocano. But I need to work on that. At home, I'm going to try to use it all the time. I mean, they say if you don't use it, you lose it. And I don't want to lose what little I have now. That's why I'm sitting in with the tutors too, because it's just I need more. I need to do as much as I can. Otherwise, I'll forget.
It kind of helps because, in a way, that's a study period too for us. Because Helen, she really she tests us on the vocab.
Oh, okay.
See, and I did good on my last quiz
Because of the tutoring helping.
like she would go back and forth to me and Cheryl and ask, say this in Ilocano, what is to study, and then we'd tell her and stuff. Yeah.
You do want to keep going then?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do.
Yeah, because we want to keep the same people.
Because it's helpful, that's why. That's why some people in my Ilocano class would be like, you're in the tutoring. Oh, you're so lucky. How come I didn't get in?
Oh, really?
So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel so bad, that we couldn't take everybody.
Yeah, everybody in my class.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was the only one who didn't get a paper.
And how does your family feel about you taking Ilocano?
They're surprised. Like, when I come home, I just bust out my Ilocano that I've learned. And they're like, wow! And then they speak to me in Ilocano. I'm like, wait, I didn't learn that.
Wait, slow down, not there yet.
And then they just ask me, oh, do you know this? Do you know that? And then, yeah. I mean, they're like, wow. And then they would tell me, see what I told you? You should have learned some in the Philippines.
They were mad. They were really mad. But then later on, after I learned some stuff, then I was talking to them. Then at least I was trying. They laughed at me. So they're not mad anymore because they know that I'm learning and they can talk to me too.
What about your sisters? What were their reaction, if they had any?
Oh, they were mad too because I have my two older sisters. They both wanted to take Ilocano too, but my parents told them not to, so they didn't, and so they're mad because it's unfair that I could take it.
I have a lot of friends and they're all mixed. Some of them reacted as like, oh, they offer that as a language first, and others are like, you're taking what? They're like, what is that? Oh, Filipino language. I thought there was only one kind of Filipino language. And then I had to explain it. There's more than one because different, like, provinces and stuff, Then they kind of understood that. And, yeah, they're just kind of surprised in taking something like this.
Now that I'm taking Ilocano, it's like, at least they're happy that it's being offered here. You know, because a lot of Filipinos here, so I think they're happy that it's more accepted, you know, whereas when they came down here, it's not as accepted. Probably 20 years ago when they came, it probably wasn't even being taught here anyways, was it?
Yeah, no, I'm sure it probably wasn't. Yeah.
So I think they're happy that at least it's like more accepted at the university level. Like, you know, our language is being accepted. You know, so I think they're happy that I'm taking it.
I see projects of this kind playing a larger and more prominent role in foreign language education. I envision foreign language teachers working together in high schools, universities, and even in elementary schools to develop partnerships of this kind. Clearly, we need courses for immigrants which focus on maintaining and developing their native language skills. We also need more foreign language courses, especially in the less commonly taught languages. And we need full-time coordinators and the cooperation of administrators at the state and school levels to help facilitate partnerships between these courses. Ultimately, I'd like to see foreign language teachers working hand in hand with ESL teachers and with bilingual educators to develop school-wide programs. According to a study conducted by Thomas and Collier of 42,000 language minority students, the most effective programs for these language minority students were the two-way maintenance bilingual schools. And since two-way bilingual schools also immerse monolingual speakers of English into a second language, they also allow these students to become fluent in two languages. I think it's time that we stop seeing bilingual education as compensatory and foreign language education as something only for the wealthy. Both students of foreign languages and immigrants would greatly benefit from sharing the resources of the other.